This episode is brought to you by Endure Training Co. Their science-based training program achieves an ideal blend of strength, cardio, and intensity, emphasizing nutrition and accountability so you can train smarter, not harder. You don't want to miss their 10 classes for $10 offer valid through the end of the year at EndureTrainingCo.com. Welcome to this episode of That Westfield Podcast. Today we are joined by Jay and Kate Neiswinter of Individual Physical Therapy. What's up, guys?
How's it going?
Hi. It's going, man. Probably a little slower on my end than your end. You guys are busy right now, huh?
Yeah, we got a few things going on. We're opening up our third office. So we are in Westfield. We are in Gillette, New Jersey, and we're going to open in Scotch Plains inside of Endure Training Co., which is going to be on East 2nd Street.
Very cool, yeah. So we actually had Tim and Aaron on right before you.
Very nice.
Yeah, oh yeah, they're lovely. Lovely people. Shout out to you guys.
They look better on camera than we do.
I know, I felt very small next to them, so it's okay. Maybe I'll give myself muscles in post or something before we air that one.
We'll work out together.
Nice. How'd you guys end up getting connected with them?
Our first office was in Gillette. It'll be 5 years in November, and we started just trying to make people in that community kind of feel better, the one-on-one care that we provide. So we got one CrossFitter, one turned to 2, turned to 4,
Wow. Turned
to some trainers, and then they had an event. They needed a physical therapist, and
We had that opportunity.
yeah, Tim and Aaron reached out.
Got to know them.
Cool.
Yeah.
So
Now you're best of friends.
Yeah,
Going
best
to
friends.
business
Yeah.
together.
Yeah, they're great people. They're very easy to get along with.
Isn't that great when you can just find other people in the community who are just like-minded? Everyone wants to hustle, wants to build their brand, build their business, and it just is easier. It's easier when you can do it together with other people.
Yeah, it's also it's hard to talk about building a company to someone that hasn't done it before. So it's very nice to find somebody that like, have been through things, because we
Right.
tell our friends, they're like, you just work too hard, just come play golf with us. And that's not how this works.
Yeah.
It's a lot of hard work that goes into it. So it's nice to have other people that you can kind of sound off stuff with.
Very cool. And so December, you guys are now open in that space. So what is it about you guys that is a little bit different than everybody else, as far as your care goes?
Yeah, so I don't know if anybody that watches this has had physical therapy before, but it doesn't have to be done in one giant room when the therapist has 4 people and you have heat and stim and that kind of stuff. So what we provide is one-on-one care. You're in a private room with a physical therapist for 45 minutes. We're there for all your exercises, make sure you do everything properly. We do a lot of hands-on manual stuff that you just don't get at other places because they don't have time to do it. So we we spend more time with the patient. We're hands-on with you more. We give you more detailed exercises, and you get to know us more. You're stuck in a room with us for 45 minutes. So we learn about you, you learn about us, and it seems to work out. People get better when they trust their therapist and they're with them more and they know more about them. So I think that's part of it as well.
That's so true. My wife and I always talk about how, we've been to so many different practitioners, and when someone doesn't seem present, the healing experience is definitely not as impactful. Yeah. And so when you're working with people who are really present and with you, it's just like, it's a 10 out of 10 all the time. So it's really cool that that's what you guys do.
Yeah, there's also a little more accountability too, because people will now do their exercises more at home usually. Not all the time, but usually because
they're more geared towards that.
We're more geared towards that, but also we're going to know if you're not doing it, because we're like, why aren't you getting stronger here? This should be something that we've been working on.
I'm guilty of that. I don't do
Most
my
people
PT
are.
exercises
Yeah.
ever.
I was looking at
Why do you
you.
think that is?
Accountability, life gets in the way a lot.
Yeah. And I think it's sometimes too many times we have too much. Like sometimes it's better for somebody to have 1 or 2 exercises to work on that really is geared towards their problem versus 5, 10.
Yeah, 3 pages of
Like,
things.
Do
Yeah.
people do that? They give 10 exercises to do?
Like, these are all the
my
ones
goodness.
you did in the clinic today. I just try them at home. And it's like not always what they need.
It's hard to remember.
It's so hard to remember.
Yeah.
So having that
Interesting.
ability to feel focused on what your actual goals are and work towards a single exercise, sometimes
Right.
that works. I'd rather somebody do it 5 times a day than none.
Right. Good to know. I know I have something up with my left IT band, and it always hurts. And it just I just get used to it. And then you kind of don't do what you're supposed to do. You're saying no.
Don't get used to it. Don't not get used to it. No.
What's going to happen to me? Oh my
Have
God.
to.
You're like
I
a
know,
fall
it's-
off. It'll be fine.
Yeah. It's okay. I have another one. I think I'll be okay. So you guys have a couple of kids too, which I think is really great. They're a little bit on the younger side, right?
Yeah, 6 and 2.
How was that tackling all that while running 3 businesses?
Great. So good. It's so much fun. They help us sleep every night fully, keep us on our toes. We get so much done.
They must think it's so cool though to have you guys as parents and to have all these offices to run around.
Yeah.
My daughter last week went from wanting to be a cheerleading teacher to now she wants to be a physical therapist. And I was like, that's great. I want you to aim higher. I'm glad you're not cheerleading teacher, but like we can aim higher than physical therapist.
Maybe she could be a PT in space or something. That's really
I'll take
leveling
space
up.
PT. I'll take
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
But I was actually, so I talked to Katie about it last week. It just made me think about it. And were we watching something, talking to somebody, and I was just like, when we started the business, Katie still had a job. So she was working at JFK Hospital. And I was like, did you feel like a single parent? And she said, yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, I get emotional sometimes. I'm sorry, but yeah.
No, it's that.
But like, I never thought about that until last week. That like, she felt like a single parent for 2.5 years.
It's extremely common. And I think, again, it's one of those things, unless you're doing it or you've done it, people will never understand the sacrifices you make to open and start a business and then to keep it running, right?
And that the family makes too. It's a whole
1,000%. Yeah. And this is one of the reasons why I want to do this also, is like to tell these kinds of stories. I mean, over relationships, friendships, family members, like everybody, it's very easy for them to get upset or to not understand. And all you want as the person in the business is to just be like, I just need a little grace. Like, I just need a little time. Like, give me a year to build this. Like, I'm sorry I missed the party. And it's very lonely. Entrepreneurship is very, very lonely and difficult sometimes. Obviously, my wife and I work together and you guys work together. It's a lot of work. It's an extra layer of stuff you have to do.
It's a big part of it.
Listen, I give everybody credit out there who is running a business with their spouse, because I know how hard it can be. And it brings you together in a different way, which is really cool. And but yeah, you got to remember to do date night and all that fun stuff, and not like painting the office as a date night. Like, I would make my wife do stuff.
We're gonna do one of those.
We're gonna be doing
this
that
weekend.
too.
Yeah. This weekend
All right,
we're doing
bring
one
a
of those
bottle
date
of
nights.
wine.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. It's fine too. It's cool. So with 3 offices, are you guys hiring? Are you guys looking for people? Let the people know what you need.
Always.
Yes, we're always looking. Our goal this year was to staff the offices appropriately, and it is not hard to do, but we're not just hiring anybody. We want to make sure it's a fit with our patients and with our staff. So we make sure everybody that interviews with us, they interview with everybody, not just me, not just Kate.
Cool.
Front desk gets an interview, the other PTs get interviews, everyone gets a say on things, because it's a small company. If you have one person that it doesn't work out for, you can't hide in an office of 800 square feet.
Yeah.
So you need to make sure that everybody fits. So yeah, we're always on the lookout to hire people that we think are going to fit what we do and how we treat people, and want to make healthcare kind of personal. So you can kind of tell right away that we'll hire somebody and kind of teach them how we do things, as long as they kind of fit personally.
Totally. Yeah, it's just about like an energy, right? Just make sure.
Yeah.
You can teach a lot of things, but you can't teach customer service.
Right.
Yeah.
1,000%. And so I'm sure you're hiring full-time, part-time, whoever is willing to come on board. All right, guys, you hear it, hit them up if you are someone looking for some work, because they're really cool. I would definitely work for them. So
Thanks.
that's
Go back to school.
Yeah,
Only a couple years.
a couple. Oh my God. I can't imagine. I know so little about, it's funny, I know a lot about the physical body inside, like, when it comes to like the microbiome and gut health and all that stuff, but the physical, and there's so much to it, but the two are tied together, right? So how often do you see people who are struggling with like gut health issues or, digestive issues and other stuff, even like mental health issues, and how it's correlated to the physical body and how we carry stress and all that? Have you guys deal with a lot of that?
I mean, we see a lot of patients with mental health issues, and it's not that it's one and the same or anything, but people just have trouble coping. And like, once the body just can't figure out how to work through the problem, it becomes a bigger problem. And then those people typically say that they have really high pain thresholds, and it just ends up being this cycle that they can't get out because they don't know how to get out. And then, I actually do see a fair amount of people with gut issues. And that ties into everything. It ties into mental health, physical ailments, pelvic floor issues. It's just, but it tends to be something we just say, it'll get better eventually and I'll deal with it later. But yeah, I mean, we every patient who walks in the door, they fill out a mental health scale just to give us an idea of where their baseline is, so that we understand what they're going for and are they seeing other professionals, so we can work as a team.
I think about, the times I was in the restaurant running around, and how, it was so easy for me to think like, oh, my back hurts or my feet hurt or my legs hurt because I'm standing on my feet. But really what it was stress that was like causing me to have like poor posture and all that. So I am particularly curious. I'm going to ask you guys a question about hypermobility. This is something I'm learning about. Do you see a lot of that too with adults, and specifically people with ADHD?
Yes, there is a hypermobility scale, and there's like a test that you can do. You can see kind of what's going on. If you hit all these markers of a test, which is like if you can bend your thumb backwards in touch, if you can palm the floor, all that kind of stuff. There's tests, you get grades for that. And if you have all that, we'll do it later. Plus you're in chronic pain for more than 3 months, you're hypermobile. And a lot of times you go to physical therapy, but your back hurts, and they're going to keep stretching you out, but you do not need stretch. You need stability. You need strength. You're hypermobile. Stretching you out is just going to make it worse. Everybody's like, oh, just foam roll your IT band. It'll be fine. Or just stretch out your hamstrings if your back hurts. And for some people, that really does help. And for some people, it's going to make you worse. So you need to figure out you're hypermobile, and you need to figure out kind of stability work to do from there. It's a whole different ballgame. And if you're with a patient for 5 minutes and going to work with somebody else, you don't get that ballgame. When we kind of learn those things a little bit quicker.
See, that's so interesting to me, because I think a lot of people have physical issues and they just think like maybe they sprained something, and they don't realize that it could be 3 or 4 different things. And so seeing somebody like you guys who are super knowledgeable is really important, so they could kind of weed out what it's not and then find what the actual root cause is and help fix it.
Yeah, and I think I open this place and we open this place to make everybody feel better, not just the people that could easily get better. My first boss said that 50% of people are going to get better just walking in the door. They're off the couch. They're moving. Right. They're doing something that they went from sitting at a desk to moving. You can put them on a bike. Their exercise, the whole motion is lotion thing. Like they're going to get better, and those people get better with us. But the other 50%, I like to think also will work very, very hard to get better here, because we're built more for those people that have tried physical therapy and failed, that have tried other things, chiropractor, acupuncture, all that kind of stuff, or just has been hypermobile for their whole life because they were a gymnast or something like that. And they're like, oh, I've had back pain for 10 years, and it's just something I just live with, and you shouldn't have to live with any of that kind of stuff.
Right. Do you guys have like a specialty or something that you're particularly really passionate about, young people, older people? What's your jam?
So, I mean, Katie's jam, I would say, is probably.
I can talk about mine.
It's probably she does
it's like bluebery jam.
I treat a lot of jaws. Stuff. I treat a lot of crazy stuff. But
can I have your cell phone number?
I mean, this podcast is a great example. Like you said about people spraining their ankle. People sprain their ankle, and it's like, oh, I can't walk right, and they're very easy to go get attention for it. Mm-hmm. But we use our jaws all the time. When we breathe, we use our jaw. Right. We don't think about it. So like that whole element of it is something we are using 24/7, and people just have jaw pain, or it clicks, or it pops, or we grind, and we just kind of
showing off your pop.
Yeah,
it's bad. It's really bad.
And we just kind of like let it go every once in a while, or it's like, oh, we'll deal with it when it's bad, but it's already bad.
Right.
And I don't really work with anybody who's like, oh, I started having problems 3 months ago. It's like, well, when I was in middle school, this started. Right. So I love working with that because it ties into all the other elements too. With pelvic floor issues and core abdominal, it can impact the gut tremendously. It can impact the rib cage. So there's just, and that's not including like the neck. There's so much involved. So I love working with the jaw, and I love getting people to feel like they can use such an important part of their body without pain.
I can probably talk about the jaw and the teeth and the structure of the head for an hour and a half, just because of like just how much it's changed over the last like couple hundred, really even just the last 100 years, right?
You guys are gonna get along great.
We don't chew hard foods anymore, and it doesn't make our jaw and our teeth work properly. So, what's your jam?
I'm a little more orthopedic. I love necks and backs. You've neck pain.
That's orthopedic.
My neck and my back?
Yeah, neck and my back. Everything hurts. Anybody with back pain going down their leg, all that kind of stuff. Somebody comes in and people come in and they're actually crooked. And they're crooked because their body's shifting away from pain and that kind of stuff. I mean, we've had people that are filling out our paperwork lying on the floor. Or they come in, they go, I need a table right now. And like those are the people where my ears perk up.
You're like,
all right,
watch me. Hold my beer.
Yeah, I was the director of a spine center for 4 years and really saw nothing but necks and backs. Wow. So if you're getting back pain going down the leg or neck pain going down the arm and stuff like that, and every case is different. That somebody that worked for one patient is not going to work for another patient, and just that puzzle is still very exciting to solve. And when you do it, like I had a patient who was he literally took his brace off and turned into a question mark.
Wow.
In 10 seconds. And then we just talking, give him one exercise, and he got up and he wasn't crooked. He didn't have to use his hands. Amazing, he started crying immediately, and it was just, that is very fulfilling. And he had tried physical therapy other places, and just to make that difference that quickly, and a patient like that, they automatically buy in, and that is now they will do anything I tell him to do, because he's like, you got me to stand without pain. So I don't have to wear a brace anymore. Right. But just that very quick result, and you go. He's like, but you didn't touch me yet. Yes, I'm going to, but like, you just had to move yourself the right way. He's like, why didn't anybody else tell me that? I can't help you with that, but I can help you feel better now that you're here.
It's really wild how we don't learn about how to take care of ourselves from a young age, right? And growing up in just these really basic things. If we all had basic PT, a course in 7th, 8th grade, and not just the scoliosis test,
Spin forward,
which is usually not accurate anyway.
right?
Yep.
Like, oh man, the things we were catching back then. I don't know.
Maybe we should start a podcast. Maybe you're right. Maybe we'll do the basic PT info podcast.
Listen, I already have a business idea for you that I thought of like 7 minutes ago, and I'm going to tell you about it later because it's something that is so needed in what you guys do, and in order to help people actually, like I said, do their exercises at home. And so I have an idea for you. We're going to talk about that.
Yes.
But, did you guys always want to be PTs? Like, what did you want to be when you were a kid?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. You're like 6, like, I'm going to be a PT.
I thought I was going to go into accounting because that's what my dad was. And then I shadowed a neighbor who was an accountant. And I was like, well, that's never going to happen. That's just not for me. And then actually my sister was an occupational therapist. So she went to school for that. So I thought that was interesting and I didn't want to do exactly what she did. So I was like, well, PT sounds great.
Right.
And then.
No, it's awesome.
That was at like 16. I knew right from then that I wanted to be PT.
Wow.
This is history.
What's that like to know what you want to be when you grow up?
It's terrifying.
I still don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
Do you guys see yourself ever getting into like the teaching space of teaching other PTs or people coming out of school and like really educating them to teach them like how to really do things your way at some point? Or do you guys always see yourselves being in the business? And
I mean, talking in front of people is just so natural for me. So it might not be my
it's so funny.
wheelhouse, but Jay, yes.
Probably not teach. I've given some guest lectures at colleges. I think I kind of like that space. But I love to treat, and I love the business aspect of it too. Like the we've talked about, like getting people better is addicting, but starting a business is also, it's a whole completely different thing.
Crack.
And it is 100%.
I would snort it if I could.
So probably not teach, but definitely guest lectures and stuff like that. Like we have a few friends that own continuing education companies.
Very
and stuff
cool.
like that, and they go out and teach and do some more kind of advanced stuff. So maybe that down the road. But I think right now it's the business and the
You're like, Amanda, calm down. We haven't even opened up the third place yet. You want us to
7 more ideas.
We do it as we've been expanding and we've been able to kind of get a steady stream of staff. We've also been taking on students. So like that's another part of where we're not really teaching in the classroom, but we're teaching in the clinical setting where we're able to have the students come in to us and experience why we're different. Like that's a huge step for a lot of the students who come in, that we're different than a lot of the other settings that they experience because they're not seeing 4 people an hour. They're coming in and they're seeing 1. Yeah. And they get the time to get to know that person. So week to week, right now we have students who come every Friday and they remember patients and they interact with those patients and they ask those personal questions, and they're there once a week. But they remember too because that's the setting that we have set up.
Yeah, and they can see how the patient gets better, and they know 45 minutes. Like they know about their kids, they know about everything like that. And they can ask questions, but also they'll go, well, why did you do that? Oh, do you remember 2 visits ago when this happened? Like we're doing this to get to here, to get to here, to get to here. And they can see that progression. They go, well, this is a different kind of place, and yeah, that's what we hope so.
It's such a practice, right? And it takes years and years to be so good at what you do. How many years have you guys been in the game?
12 to 13.
Yeah, it was 13. Wow. Somebody asked me when I first opened. Somebody asked me 2 years ago, and I said 8, and then I was like, no, it's actually 11. I made that up. The last 3 years of starting a business just didn't count.
Right. Well, it's like when someone asks you how old you are after 35, you're like,
oh no, yeah.
You're like, why can't I remember this? Like, I'm still 35. It's fine. All right, so let's talk about some of your favorite places in the area. You guys live in Scotch Plains, right?
Live in Scotch Plains, yep.
All right, so tell us some Scotch Plains, Fanwood, Westfield favorites.
So favorite for kids, Darby Road.
Yep.
My kids love it. Their food comes out in about 8 minutes. What do my kids order? And it is fantastic. My kids are in love. We sit there, we get dessert. We go there just for dessert sometimes, but like that's our kids' new favorite spot, the place to go. Yeah,
nice.
And we hit a Fiamma a lot in Westfield, right on Quimby, right down.
Yeah, right. You
down
can
there.
spit on it.
Yeah, we can. Yeah.
I don't suggest you do that, but
no, they would like it. But
to.
we have our own table that our daughter loves to sit at because we used to go so much, and yeah, we love all their food.
Yeah.
Cool.
Those are our 2 main hot spots. What else do you like?
Yeah.
What else do we like?
Yeah, ice cream, coffee. What's your jam?
Oh gosh,
coffee.
Coffee.
Yeah, we get
coffee spot.
way too much coffee. We've been going to Black Drop Coffee in Scotch Plains.
Shout out to Black Drop, they're really good.
And I've been doing work there in the afternoons, so I'm like a fixture there now.
Yeah.
You have 3 offices and you're working out of a coffee shop.
And I'm working at a coffee shop, that's it, because it's better than being home working with the kids.
Yep.
Yep, I need to get that going. Yeah, so
That's
shout out
so
to Black
funny.
Drop. They've been there a lot recently.
Quick to go is Fresh and Co is good.
Right.
They've just opened in are they a year?
Yeah, they're coming up on it.
Year,
It's
I
getting
think it's
close,
gonna be like
I think.
May. No, I think it's like May because
Really?
they opened.
I don't remember anything.
No, I don't.
I don't know.
Well, we got some new stuff coming in. Hummus Republic is coming in. That's like a
Yes.
similar type of bowl place. That's pretty good. I'm excited because I can't eat anywhere. So anything that's gluten-free, dairy-free.
I am starting
That's
to
on
also
that.
not be able to eat anywhere because I have
tell me.
plaque psoriasis and recently diagnosed with psoriatic arthritis. So I'm going gluten free.
That's it, baby. Do it.
Yep.
A lot
We're
of
gonna-
recommendations.
We're going to talk.
So easy.
Right. You know what? It honestly is. It's just
gotten easier.
It's just you just meat and veggies, like fish and veggies. Like it's with the fun stuff. But then obviously the gluten-free or healthier versions of those not so good items are even worse for you. You might as well eat the
Ice cream.
Yeah, ice cream's really good. That was a tough one to give up. But honestly, there's a lot of good oat milk ice creams, cashew milk. Once you start exploring it, it's not like it was 15 years ago. You're getting
I'm getting the good
itchy at a
stuff.
good time. Yeah.
You're cheating.
It's all right. We, my wife and I are actually trying to plan something out for January where we kind of take people in that same boat and we start to walk them through the really simple, basic steps of changing into that lifestyle because it is a little scary. And obviously, having Fettle back in the day was the spot for people with like food allergies, and they could come in and ask questions. But I'm sure you guys see again a lot of that in the practice of how people not realizing their diet is super important with their physical health. So have you seen that change over the last couple of years? And do you see people like on board with it more, or are they still kind of shying away from?
We seem to suggest it more and more to people
Yeah.
that like, listen, if you want to get better, like you're in chronic pain, yes, so these things can help, but also like you're eating one meal a day and it's not healthy. Like,
That's a big one. Not
figure
eating
out
enough,
and then
right?
what's going on? Yeah, you need to fuel the body to get it to heal. So if you're not fueling it the right way, this is going to take longer.
Right.
People tend to kind of latch onto some fads with food and diets,
Right.
and it's not that the fads are bad, it just might not fit right for you and your lifestyle. So people are trying, but they just don't know what works for them.
And it changes every few years, right? Like, especially as women, as our hormones change, we're not eating the same things we were 5 years ago. They do different things to us now.
Yes, they do.
Everybody can relate to
Bowl of
that.
ice cream really just latches on
Right.
now.
And the men usually don't have to deal with it as much, but
Don't look at me.
Yeah,
I got my
I'm
things
looking at you,
going
guy. All right. So we got a couple minutes left, guys. All right. So how can everybody find you guys? What's your website? What's your Instagram? What's the best way for people to get in touch with you if they want to work with you?
Our website is individualpt.com.
Instagram is individual_PT
Yeah,
because I tried to
cool.
get individual PT from somebody and they wouldn't give it up, so I had to underscore it.
Create your own.
Yep, that kind
A lot of
thing.
options, but underscore was your top option.
People don't appreciate that too when you're building a business. I just bought my own domain name. I bought amandavargas.com and it was not cheap. And I waited like 3 years to try to get it and finally convinced this person to sell it to
Someone
me.
else
So-
had it? Did they have the same name or they were just
Yeah, they
waiting
bought it for like
you?
their granddaughter or something. Oh
my
It was like
gosh.
11. And I was like, I bet you she could buy something pretty with this money you're asking me for that she would appreciate.
But back when I was young, that would be like a star in the sky. Now it's a
Right.
domain name. I don't understand.
I love
And
when
also, we're behind. We need to do this for our kids.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The domain
There-
names
yeah,
are
it's
fun.
true.
Yeah.
There's because it's hard to get stuff. So yeah, the Instagram names are hard to get sometimes. So I appreciate the struggle that you went through to get _PT.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so you got the website, you got the Instagram, guys. These two
Yep.
are amazing. They're really, really cool people. I highly, highly recommend getting in touch with them. If you're new to the PT game or if you are in need of maybe switching it up a little bit, definitely check them out. Guys, thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Yes,
Yeah.
this was fun, and we're going to talk about business now. So
Yay.
Sounds good.
see ya.
Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.